like every other Nigerian, from the shock of the postponement of the presidential elections. They will now be holding on the 23rd of February, which is in 6 days. But one of the biggest news that came out of the entire situation was pictures that went viral on social media and, of course, on mainstream media about members of the National Youth Service Corps who were supposed to be ad hoc staff of the INEC to help with the elections, the inhumane conditions in which they were kept. We saw people sleeping in broken down buses, in open fields. Basically, no arrangements were made for this stuff, as you can see on your screens now. It was pretty disheartening, and Nigerians, I guess, didn't know how bad the situation was until these pictures went viral, and it raised a lot of questions, especially with regards to the fact that INEC does have an allocation for elections. So who or to what are these monies allocated? And a lot of people are just looking for answers on how, we can rectify or fix the situation. So I have here with me a member of the NYSC, Celestina Degoke, who is also an ad hoc staff of the INEC. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome.
You're an ad hoc staff in Lagos, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah. We saw a lot of these pictures. Some people thought maybe they were not necessarily real. Was that also what your situation was?
I think the pictures that went viral, they are as real as it was.
Okay.
It was surprising for us and for all ad hoc staffs that were employed to do this job. We got there. It was as if they did not know something was going to happen at those centers that we went to. When we approached the RA center, that's the registration area center, the gatekeeper he reluctantly let us in. If he told us that he wasn't informed, and no one communicated anything to him, no one told him anybody was coming to use their premises. So that shows that...
For election?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that shows that he was not even aware, or probably there was a miscommunication or a disconnect somewhere. He reluctantly let us in, and we were left to just find ourselves space on the campus or on the field. Some of us had to sleep on the field, on the sand, under the trees, on grasses. Some who could not bear the cold, the harshness and all, they had to go to classrooms. I slept on the bench. And at some point,
you slept on the bench in the classroom?
Yes. You know, these public schools, the benches and sort of chairs that they use, the wooden benches and chairs. So we had to pile or bring together some benches, and we slept on them.
Yeah.
So that was...
So you woke up in the morning and realized the elections were not going to hold. But I want to go back to, how did you become an ad hoc staff? Is it a volunteer system? How does it work?
Yes, it was made to look to us like we should volunteer, like it wasn't compulsory. But in a sense, I sense some compulsion in it, because they told us to write an exemption letter. But my place of primary assignment is quite far from the local government where I'm to submit the letter. So I could not just leave my work at any time saying I'm going to the local government. So that kept me from submitting the exemption letter. Yeah. But some did early, and there was a deadline. So after the deadline, they refused to accept such
so if you didn't submit the exemption letter, you automatically would be...
So in as much as they say it's voluntary.
Yeah. So was there some training for you people? How did it work?
Wow, the training was just... I think if there's any word to use, it's just annoying, hectic, and so unbearable. I can't imagine that I made myself go through the training. We were meant to, from wherever you live or wherever you stay or reside or wherever your PPA is, you're to go to the training centers at different locations. I did mine at a primary school in between Mobile and Quillox. I don't know if you know Quillox.
Okay. That's on the Victoria Island, like
yes, yes, just a primary school in between. And we went there for 3 days, unsponsored, no transportation. So we traveled all the way from wherever you're coming to the center, from morning till night. And it was so bad that even on Saturday, where there was no movement due to the Lagos Marathon, we were still made to come to the training centers. And I can remember that day, my friend and I almost took bike from mainland to the island. And I was like, I'm never going to do this for my country, Nigeria, even though I really think I want to do this.
So they were not transporting you people?
There was no transportation.
So what were you where were you told you were going to get? Did they talk about? Did you have any arrangements about accommodation? Were there any arrangements about the pay? Or
I think we allowed ourselves to be fooled, I would say that, because there was no specific communication as regards accommodation. Yeah, we were told we'll be taken to our registration area centers, that's the RAC centers, and we'll be provided for. That was all we heard. If we ask to the left, what did they tell you? Same thing. To the right, what did they tell you? Same thing. So there was no specific communication as to what we should expect. So we just left believing that, oh, we trust that NYSC would not just leave us into the hands of INEC without getting some sort of guarantees or assurance as to our well-being. So that's why I think most of us just felt, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
What about security? Did they give you any assurances about security?
Yeah, they did during the training. But unfortunately, at the
when you arrived there was nobody there.
There was no single security personnel. And in fact, the only person that was there to guide us was the gatekeeper of the school that I said was reluctant in letting us in, and the man had no weapon of defense. Yeah.
So how many were you at the time that got there?
I think we should be, when we did an count, it should be around about 250.
So what usually happens, all of you are there, then in the morning they come and they take you to the different
distribute the materials, then take us to different polling units.
So at what point did you guys hear that the elections had been cancelled?
I think most of us, I was asleep, then someone woke me up and told me that it's been postponed. And I thought he was just joking. I'm like, let me check my phone, and I confirmed. In fact, there were persons who came to the RA centers before I left wanting to vote. Apparently, those ones did not turn on their radio or their television set before leaving their homes. They were there to vote.
Has any INEC official contacted you guys since then, or did anybody come and address you people after that?
Nobody addressed us, so there's been no communication since then.
So you don't know what happens?
No compassion, no apology. After we left, some people waited behind to see what would happen. So I also waited because I was posted to Ado community. That would be my first time there. So I didn't want to leave at the time when others were leaving. So I wanted to wait till daybreak to leave. So we left at about 6:30. Then we proceeded to the local government ATOs at Igboefo. And we got there, we met the INEC officials. We met some of the NYSC officials as well. They were eating. We heard they cooked jollof rice and they killed cow. And we were like, really? And they left us in the cold with nobody. So
because a lot of people have also said that, this sort of situation puts ad hoc staff like you in positions where if a politician comes and offers anybody money, you might be tempted to take it. Do you think that's the case? Because, I mean, if you are, first of all, the NYSC Alawi is not even that healthy. You've spent all your money, transporting yourself to the training, and then you've gotten to this venue, nobody's there to see you. Do you think that I'm not talking about you now as a person, but isn't that a possibility? Because the remuneration is not even known from what you're saying.
Yeah, that could not be ruled out totally. I know there are some youths that are capable of making such compromise. But I think the major threat or reasons why Nigerian youths could make such compromise would be at instance of where their lives are being threatened, security issues. That's at that point, I'm sure any Nigerian youth would make such compromise. But I do not think anyone would want to make a compromise on the price of food, money.
Yeah. Looking at the way things went with this entire process now, with you, with maybe your friends and other couples who were the part of this ad hoc, arrangement, do you think a lot of people are still going to be interested in it in a week? Is this something you can opt out of now? How does that work?
Well, I think at this point, I think it's my safety first and the safety of all core members. I do not think anybody who is in their right senses will want to proceed. I definitely am not going to go back. I do not want to. I mean, at some point when I was there, I almost wept. I'm like, who brought this upon me? Like, what was I thinking when I signed up for this? I don't think anyone who witnessed the miserable condition last weekend would want to do same, or would want same to be repeated again upon himself or herself.
Is there anything Anne can do in this week to change your mind? Is there any things you'd like to hear or see that could maybe make you change your mind?
But I think my safety first. So I would not live my life in the hands of someone who I really do not think cares so much about me. Because in the first place, if you really do care about us, you would not have left us unguided. No one came to, okay, the ad hoc, the other INEC officials, they came, they dropped generator and they left, they vanished. No one came to address us. No one felt that they even
you
kept...
just want to see more of a sense of care.
Yes, compassion. Right. So at this point, I don't think anyone would want to proceed.
Well, thank you very much, Celestina. And there's a lot that's still going to be talked about. Hopefully, we do have our elections safely and credibly by next Saturday. Hopefully, by next Sunday, before the next edition of Remain Minds, we would have had our elections and voted in our next president. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I'll see you next Sunday.